Thank you for tuning into our podcast, Canal Days, What Life Was Like in the Industrial Connecticut River Valley of Massachusetts. I am your host, Carrie, and joining us today is Holyoke's very own local historian and creator of the historical tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Colum. He personally offers and leads public and private tours, as well as presentations of historical sites within communities throughout the state of Massachusetts. Currently, the communities he has chosen to focus on this year are Holyoke, Chicopee, South Hadley, and East Hampton, and also Granby and Amherst as well. His tours spotlight the local canals, reservoirs, cemeteries, and churches, as well as various parks, streets, and selected historical houses within each community. In today's episode, we'll be discussing the Goodwin Park, located in Springfield, Massachusetts. So, where in Springfield is the park located?
It's across from a triangle that's near Berkshire Avenue and Berkshire Street. All right, great place to go visit, and it has a lot of unique things going, including there's a pond in the back that's actually pretty big called Long Pond, and we'll describe that along the way. We'll also describe some of the features found inside the park and what the park is like now and into the future. But to find it, it's in the Indian Orchard village or neighborhood of Springfield, Massachusetts. And it's behind a school called John Kennedy School. And it's on a main drive, and if you park in the parking lot of the school towards its left-hand side as you face into it, you can then get out and walk towards the pond in the park itself, Goodwin Park.
And describe the pond that takes up the majority of the land in the park.
All right, Long Pond is in the back. It's a very large pond. I found that out by walking back there, and it's gorgeous. Of course, the birds know it's there, so ducks and geese and all kinds of little birds are flying around constantly around this area. It's a wonderful place to be if you love to see birds. It's also gorgeous because there's not many homes around the perimeter of this long pond, so you get great nature views. It's strange to be in such a large city and yet have such a large natural site, and I hope they maintain it that way. And so I get gorgeous pictures from it. The pond doesn't have too much eutrophication. It has a lot of natural look to it. And the school knows that, and they put a greenhouse and a little garden back there, and they try to keep the shoreline as clear as possible so students can use it as nature studies location. So I like it, students like it, and hopefully you can go out there and see what it's all about.
And really quick before we continue with the rest of our, just to fill our listeners in, if you want to sign up for any of his tours or find out more information, you can check out his website at holyokecanaltour.org. And there you can find videos and podcasts of the stops along each of his tours, as well as photos and text of the historical sites throughout as well. And for private tours and other inquiries, you can email him directly at bobcat4214B@yahoo.com. And his tours make for fun, educational outdoor activities for families and group parties. So getting back to our interview, Robert, tell us about the features that are inside the park.
All right, the park is, I would say, a lot of features, but they need some improvement. So there's a large greenhouse there, and it needs to be fixed up. There's a large garden there, and it needs to be fixed up and taken care of. The shoreline, most of the case, some of it should be, you should rip some of the plants out that are invasive along the edge, but most of the time you have a good gap to get in at several places. And there's two big baseball fields, one towards the back, one's towards the far left side, and one soccer field towards the front. And no playground set. If you want the playground set, go to the other side of the school where the school's playground is, and you find double playground sets. And beyond that side, there are a couple cemeteries, including the St. Aloysius. And so there's a lot to do. And then across the street is a triangle. And in that triangle, called the Guthrie Triangle, you have a memorial. So in this area, you have a lot of nature and a lot of nice Memorial Parks and a lot of Victorian homes. And so it's a nice street to be around, researching it, just walking around, enjoying it, and so forth.
And what might the future have in store for this park?
I hope they can make it a little cleaned up. And so they made Coffee Park very clean. The school is great, but I think the nature trail, the greenhouse, and the garden need to be trimmed and cleaned up and cozy. And especially the baseball fields, two of them, and the soccer field, they need to be cleaned up. They're too much waste around, and they look like there's too much mud around, which shouldn't be. So the Parks Department can really go in there and clean that place up. It'd be great. They probably don't use it for athletic events as much. It's probably just a practice field. But if it's nice and trimmed, that's great. And get some of the invasive plants up. But Long Pond itself, within the park, is very nice, very well taken care of, and it seems to be crystal clean around its edges, and the birds certainly like it. And I hope it stays that way. And so the whole environment, school, cemeteries, parks, and homes is actually pretty nice and cozy. And I hope more people learn about it. Thank you.
And thank you, Robert, for educating us on your tours and his topics of recreation. And we want to thank our listeners for tuning in. And you can check out a large selection of our other podcasts on his website, as well as on SoundCloud.com. And be sure to stay up to date with new podcasts and videos posted daily. Thank you, and hope you join us again.